welcome to Biology Explained. Today we're going to be looking at soybean and how it can have a serious impact on the environment. What is soybean? Soybean is a species of legume originally native to East Asia, and it's recently taken the world by storm and become one of the world's most essential and profitable agricultural commodities. It produces more protein per hectare than any other major crop and has a higher percentage of protein than many animal-based foods. In 50 years, soybean production has increased 15 times over, with South America producing nearly 50% of the world's soybean alone. What is interesting is that this increased rate in producing soy isn't because we're actually eating more soy foods, it's for another reason entirely. Actually, only 6% of soy is turned into products directly for human consumption. 80% of soy is fed to farmed animals in the meat, dairy, and egg industries. Pretty amazing, right? Animals tend to be fed soy because it's cheap and rich in protein. In reality, it's much more likely that while soy doesn't appear directly on the plate, we've indirectly eaten it. We consume 61 kilograms of soy each year through animal products we eat, which is pretty amazing, really. It makes you realize how much soy is integral to the way our animals are fed, reared, and arrived at our plate. So how bad is soybean production for the environment? Well, soy plants only produce one yield each life cycle and respond badly to fertilizers, meaning they're not that efficient to grow. And this causes problems because, therefore, to increase yields and meet demands for soy, more soy plants have to be planted, requiring more land to be used. In many countries, especially in South America, where the most soy is grown, more land has to be cleared to grow because it's got lots of rainforest and trees growing on it already. And this has led to soy being the second largest agricultural driver of deforestation following beef, which is pretty amazing, right? That a plant is the cause behind major deforestation. And this deforestation leads to a reduction in biodiversity as more and more rainforest is cut down, and therefore less rainforest means less ability to trap carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, meaning a harm on the environment. Now, I'm going to say here that soybean production by itself is not bad for the environment. It's a pretty efficient plant and grows pretty well, doesn't need too much water, and it's perfectly able to be sustainably farmed by itself. But when you're destroying rainforest, like is currently happening in South America, the carbon cost associated with destroying this rainforest leads to extreme consequences because that rainforest is capturing so much carbon that destroying it to grow soybean, which captures much less carbon, is extremely bad for carbon capture. So why has soybean production increased? Well, it's mainly because of the increase in demand for meat and dairy production and the need for cheap and efficient feeds to feed them. Soybean provides this because it's highly rich in protein and fats, and so therefore it seems like a key target to grow and provide, which is why it's being grown. But it's inexorably linked to the food livestock industry because they're the ones that are growing, especially across Europe and especially in China, which is a big importer of soybean at the moment. And these animals need to be fed vast quantities of soybean, much more than would be enough to sustainably feed humans. And this means that it's kind of like requires a lot more soybean production than is sustainable. Now, not all soy is bad for the environment. Most of the soya food directly consumed by humans in the UK is made with organic beans from Europe and the US, rather than from GM crops from South America. A brand like Alpro now sources most of its soya from Europe and not from South America. Other brands have followed. In fact, eating soy directly rather than cycled through animals will reduce the clearance of the natural vegetation required to supply us with the same amount of protein by 94%, a pretty amazing amount, meaning less land needs to be cleared, and so more CO2 capture and a better, healthier environment. So the easiest way to reduce soya's harmful impact on the environment is to eat less livestock, because by eating less livestock means less soya needs to be grown to feed them. And ideally eliminating livestock altogether, but that's not always possible. Now, it is possible to feed livestock other sources of protein. Soya just has the advantage of being one of the highest soybeans in protein. However, a recent study at the University of Nottingham demonstrated that other protein feeds also function as suitable livestock feed. This includes rapeseed, distillers' grains, pulse grains such as beans and peas, for example. Now, these have the benefit of all being grown in the UK, and so they can reduce our reliance on imported grain from such as South America. And so therefore, by using grains in the UK, you kind of have a double improvement on the environmental approach. is that it means you don't have to clear as much rainforest to grow soybean to feed our crops, and you also don't have to import that soybean all the way from South America, which has additional harms on the environment. And so therefore, you know, highly likely and hopefully we move our cow production over to feeding them on rapeseed, distillers grains, things like that. But the main reason it's happening at the moment is purely a cost factor. Soybean is very cheap, and as long as people keep wanting soybean and people keep producing soybean, it's going to remain cheap. And so something needs to change. Like ideally, it's something that the government has to step into and encourage people to use these other grains that are available, already grown in the UK, that no one's using purely because they're probably a couple of pennies more. So it's an interesting one. Soybean does have a hidden effect, but mainly only if you're eating livestock that's being fed by it. So be on the lookout for that. Don't buy soy-based products if they're not grown sustainably in Europe. But sometimes it's hard to find out. I hope this has been an interesting video. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.